and I have mostly healed my cold or flu or whatever was going on. I went live last week and I said I wasn't feeling great, and I definitely didn't feel great after that. My name is Sky. I'm a raw vegan. I was sick for 32 years of my life. And I got well and healed things like mast cell activation. I've had at 60 surgeries. I have my stomach removed, duodenum removed, just constant health issues. I had POTS, tachycardia, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic viruses. I had some tumors removed. I had lots going on. I could not get well. I was eating a vegan diet, still didn't get well. And I ate raw foods and I completely healed myself. Well, I say completely and then I get a flu. But I am human. I do actually get flus. Hey, Tessa! It seems every time I travel, and I will get into this today, because it seems every time I travel, I've been since being well back. I got well for a year in 2018 and I went to Bali. I got sick there. And then essentially I've been well since 2021. 2022, went to Cairns. Did I get sick there? I don't know whether I did the first time, but then I went back to Bali and I got sick. I went away to Hawaii. I got sick. I don't get flus or colds, only when I travel. And it essentially, since eating a raw foods diet, I don't get sick. I had a broken toe, which isn't really sick. That was like I walked into my bed frame and it cracked. And I even still kept running and doing Pilates on it. I didn't even know. I had shingles, about a shingles, but besides that, I don't get sick unless I travel. And I have been told that this is because, and it's always in fancy hotels. The fancier the hotel, the sicker I get. Yes, I did get sick. I was trying to think if I got sick. Every time I've traveled, I've got sick. So in my space here, I eat a raw food diet. I spend a lot of time outside. I have Wi-Fi over here, and that's it. I have no chemicals like cleaning chemicals. I use bicarb and natural products. And so when I go to hotels, I am on a multi-level story of multi-level Wi-Fis. I don't have a television here. There's usually like 2 or 3 televisions in a room. These rooms are being cleaned daily. As I said, they've got multiple Wi-Fis. And people have said, because my mast cell activation can be aggravated by EMF frequencies, by electromagnetic frequencies, by lights and stuff, that I'm like bombarded and that my body just gets sick. I don't know. Someone from Portugal, I am here for someone to tell me why I'm getting sick when I travel. But I usually last about seven days, and then 7 days in, just like last week when I jumped on and I said, guys, I am here, I'm showing up for myself, but I'm not well. And the next day I filmed as well. There's a great pizza video coming out, but I was not good. And then I was in bed for the last 2 days of my trip, and I came back and I haven't really worked this week. But what I will be doing, I'm about to go, very exciting. Anyone who doesn't know, I'm about to go meet my bestie, Jillian Berry. Go follow her. She's amazing. In New York in about a month. And we are staying in some pretty nice hotels. We're doing some traveling around America. I will end up in LA. If anyone's around that area, shout out, let me know. And I need to be well. And what I did notice, remember, I'm missing my stomach. So I have absorption problems, and the raw food diet is amazing for that and seems to keep me well all the time except travel. So I do notice if I've had a vitamin infusion. I had one of those after about a shingles, and I noticed a lot of the symptoms just went away. So I will be doing a vitamin infusion. I tend not to see, I find the more things I add in, the more problematic. I'm in Sydney. This all seems to get. So vitamin infusions are tried and tested. I am better with infusions than I am anything going through my gut can literally send me so sick. And it makes sense. I'm missing stomach, duodenum, top of intestines. But I'm telling you this, I'd love to hear if anyone else has had this experience. So what about a carnivore diet? Well, that's a great question. I don't have a stomach. I also am a vegan, so that's just not happening. But also, I mean, hydrochloric acid, I'm missing the stomach. I think it shows that we eat plants. Basically, if you start removing a stomach and you can still digest it, Like that just makes sense to me. It just makes sense how good you feel. Oh my God. Like I've been on a paleo diet. Yes, there was meat in that. I've been on a cooked vegan diet, but I swear to God, like I know this healed me, but literally every day when I got on this diet, I wake up and I'm like, holy moly, I did not know it was possible to feel this good. I do this especially like just any time I've even had too much dehydrated food and I get back on like fruits and fresh food and stuff, I'm just blown away. So I personally enjoy a diet of high fructose corn syrup and red 40. Well, that's you. That's definitely not me. I never felt good having any of that. So I don't know how people survive. Actually, when I got on a raw food diet, I actually worked out I didn't know how I actually survived my life because I didn't know you could feel like this. So people can go and argue about diets all they want. And even when I am like having, and I don't have a lot of it at the moment because I'm this high omega-3 diet, which has essentially healed my mast cell activation. Even last week when I filmed this pizza video, there's all fermented foods over it and I didn't react. So I can have days where I can eat basically any raw foods now. And I was not that way before. But essentially, I'm not leaving being a vegan or eating raw foods. And I do need, I'll keep talking, but I do need to get this heater off because we're heating up here. So, hey, Jory Game Bites, why did you have your stomach removed? So there's lots of videos on my channel, and I have done a really good live where I go in and I actually tell you the whole story. But essentially, I had chronic pain in my back, which was so bad and debilitated me most of my life. That was my chronic problem. I had a second piece of uterus attached to nerves and ligaments. It was a congenital disease, so I was born with it. But I was on anti-inflammatory medications. I was having surgeries for that, and there was and I had HP, the H. pylori bacteria in my stomach. And I essentially had an ulcer, but because my back was in so much pain, I didn't feel it, the ulcer, and I didn't feel it break until I'm vomiting blood and diarrhea blood and almost died. And they tried to save my stomach, massive long trauma surgeries. That's where that scar first came from. And then I was about to go home after a month in all these like ICU and all these hospital, different levels of hospital. And then I vomit blood everywhere. So back into the surgery, and they cauterized both sides again. And then they said, if you vomit blood again, we have to remove. And they drew a picture. Most of my stomach, they did leave a little bit, but over time it just turned into an extension of the esophagus. Most of the stomach, the duodenum, and more of, I think it's the ileum jejunum, that next part of the intestines. And they took that out, and then that stopped me vomiting blood. And yeah, that was back 20 years ago now. That was like one blip of my health issues. I then couldn't work. I was on a walking stick. I was having Botox injected in the spine, local anesthetic in the spine. I was having ketamine in cardiac units for pain, had a full hysterectomy that fixed that. Then I had to come off all the medications. I was so sick, I almost died then. Then I dissociated from the trauma, like basically lost my mind, came out of that because I didn't have much memory. Then I got shingles through the eye, a functional neurological disorder. I couldn't walk or talk for days. I went to a neurological hospital to relearn this. At this stage, I'm 38. And I was eating vegan diet. My blood work was getting worse, had massive psychiatric complex PTSD from what I'd been through. I started drinking to cope. Then my liver failed, back in hospital for that. Essentially, I was at rock bottom, being homeless, and I just couldn't cook my food. I had no carers anymore because my parents said you have to look after yourself. And I just started not cooking it because I was too sick. And every time I didn't cook the food, I could get up and do things. And I had no symptoms. Ate the cooked food back in bed. And I was like, okay, what's a raw vegan? I can't read right now. I didn't know what a raw vegan was. I'm like, what am I doing? I went on Instagram, and there's a whole lot of amazing people who make salads and they make all sorts of recipes and fruits. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing that. And it took a while till I could read, and my symptoms went in 6 weeks on a raw food diet, but my mind and memory have taken years to repair. As they repair, it's a double-edged sword. As you get your memory back, you remember things, but as you get your memory back, you fall into addictive tendencies, you get trauma memory back. So that's a bit of a dance. But yeah, so this is why I eat enough. Enough. This is why I eat a raw food diet. So this is a great question. Do you get enough sodium? If you've had any of your bowel or intestines resected, you will notice, especially the lower part, mine's upper, you will notice you'll have electrolyte issues. I did 2 years on a raw food diet with no salt, and I ended up with a sodium deficiency and high blood sugar. So now I have a lower sugar diet, and I'm problematic because I'm missing my stomach. So the sugars don't slowly move through, they dump. It's called dumping syndrome. So I make sure I have enough sodium. Thank you. Thank you. As always, Tessa, you are amazing. So raw meaning you don't cook it. Yes, I eat plant-based raw foods that are not cooked. The difference is like night and day. When someone says, I think high raw, you're still there, but like when someone says they're cooked vegan, it's not the same. Like when I was eating a cooked vegan diet, I definitely did it for animals. I got no real health benefits. It probably led me along the line. I was eating whole food plant-based. I still was very unwell. As soon as I ate raw, everything changed. So, thank you. I feel like I get so inspired because it's such a difference. Like, can you imagine being in bed from when I was 6 to when I was younger? This all started after a bout of chickenpox, and I was in bed for off and on for like 3 years, fall asleep at school, really sucked. And then I got well after having my tonsils removed for years until I was 16. Then this chronic back pain and pelvic pain came. So I basically was like, I would go to school some days, I would get to things, but as time went on, I just, essentially there was like 25 years in a bed, but 15 years back to back, like non-stop. Just all I could do was be in a bed, go to hospital, see a doctor. I could occasionally go to dinners or weddings or go out, but then back to bed. And now I'm like up and I'm like sharing all of this and I love it. So I've heard Bitcoin is good. Were you diagnosed with amnesia? I was diagnosed with dissociative trauma or something like complex PTSD, dissociative trauma, and shell shock syndrome, which apparently is extremely rare. So I would flop over from days from the waist, but they never called it amnesia. In fact, I didn't actually know how much was missing until it started to come back. So yeah, like I could still tell people things that occurred in my past. Like, I went to my formal, I know you, but there was no emotion essentially attached to any event. So it's like the emotion almost like streams you into the past. And I lost my concentration as well. So I couldn't watch anything. Well, the FND stopped me being able to read or do much. Which is called a functional neurological disorder. All these things are getting more common. It was quite sad when I had chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia and undiagnosed disease at the time as a child. It was very rare. It was only just coming into the forefront. So no one really believed me. Most of my sickness, I was like looked at as if I wasn't sick until I lost my stomach. In fact, I woke up from that surgery and the first thought was, well, now someone's got to believe me because they're taking out organs. So now it's if somebody says some of these things, it's extremely debilitating. People die from these sort of things. But even worse, I think some people feel that they don't and they're trapped on this planet with chronic pain and illness. So did I have a normal life after that? I feel like since getting well, so not after losing my stomach, but getting well at 40, I found raw foods a month before I turned 40. And my 40th birthday, I'm sitting up, I'm having a salad, I had a juice, I'm talking to people. A year before that, I was up, I think, for a photo and then back to bed. As I had been most of my life, I missed Christmases, birthdays. I was always in a bed, but once I got on the raw foods, I don't even think I've had a normal life. I'm like, right, I'm starting my website. I'm going to share photos. I worked in disability as a support worker. Then I did support coordination. then raw food coaching, and now I'm always like on the camera sharing, doing YouTube. I feel like this is a life I could never even dream of. Like you can tell by my smile, that's why I do this. Like it's unbelievable to not be in pain, to not have all these problems, but not to be relying on like the government for funding, to be relying on carers to take care of me, be relying on surgeons in hospitals. I like rely on me and veggie. um, thank you. Uh, you're about plant eating. Thank Jesus you are blessed to be here. I am. I think the universe, I am so blessed to be here. Um, so, uh, Uh, I am 40. I'm about to turn 44. Yeah. So, and I'm very, very grateful to be here and to be sharing every year. I'm very, very grateful. I kind of do feel sad that I missed my youth, or it was like spent a lot of time fighting for my health. But that's all the past. Whoever's like, I was always going to be like 40, 44 now anyway. So that's in the past. So I have to accept that. Hey! So yeah, I feel like the hydration of raw foods is amazing. I do want to jump on here one day and show you guys how to open a coconut. Haven't done that in a while. Coconuts are amazing. I had lots yesterday. They help. So let's talk about what helps when you have a flu, because I only seem to get it when I travel. I'm healthy otherwise. And I find hydration. I find the hydration, and they actually did a post because coconut water is very similar to blood plasma, and they actually, we've spoken about this on these lives, they actually have used it in the Solomon Islands during wartime to infuse into people who needed blood transfusions. I love that. I love green juice because I'm on a high omega-3 diet at the moment, and we're going to do some raw food crumbed veggies. Every Friday I jump on here and I do a talk, and I also make a recipe with leftover food that I have in the fridge. We've done veggie bakes, we've done pastas, we've done tofu, all raw vegan. And today I'm doing crumbed high omega-3 veggies. Sorry if my voice goes a bit, I'm still getting there. So something's not right about this. I'm not sure what that means. But that was by Colel, or I can't pronounce your name. But hey, is Mountain Dew healthy? So if you, what I always think is once you get on raw foods, you can literally sense healthy. You become essentially like an animal. When it's alive and hydrated and fresh, that's the stuff you want. When you're getting there, if that's where the direction you want to go, I say pick up the back of something and read what is in it. If it is fresh and you understand it, it's still not like got life force, which I love and makes me feel amazing, but it won't harm you. I think one of the most harming things are chemicals in somebody's body, especially when it's overloaded. So have a look on the back, what is in it. If it's like, I don't know, dehydrated apple and some sugar, you understand what it is, okay? But if it's like, I don't know, natural flavors 302, 502, 623, and then it jumps to the next one, it's hydrogen something or other. It's like, if I have a hard time reading it, can you imagine what my body has a hard time processing it? So, yeah. Uh, organic, uh, and so come on, guys. After all I've been through, I think you can be a little more respectful. Okay, like when somebody has a scar like this, I think you have to understand what the path they walked. If it gets that deep and that noticeable, the path a person walks to even still be here. Because it's not every day you see that, hey? Not every day you see that, hey? Okay. Now, so I've spoken about that. I'm going to get vitamin infusions because, as I said, I'm about to go to New York and I want to stay well. And I think that's a good option for me. I will when I travel. I'm a bit touch and go when I travel. because I have had really good flights when I've had just fruit, but I can become really unstable because you feel so hydrated. But then sometimes, because there's so much nuclear energy in a plane, you can sometimes need to ground to stabilize yourself. And so I will be traveling with an abundance of different foods. I would love to be on just juices and fruits when I travel over there, but we'll see how that goes. I actually am only just being able to get juices back in. I was having mast cell activation syndrome or histamine issues, which a lot of fruits can have a look. I say fruits, but anyone can be set off by anything. It's why I think the raw food diet works so well for me, because you're literally avoiding so many histamines and your digestion's better, so you get better gut health. But I am noticing I can have some juice. And I had fermented foods, high histamine foods last week. So this high omega-3 diet is working. In the description, I have a folder as to what mast cell activation syndrome is, histamine issues are, natural antihistamines, what I'm eating in a day. Go have a look. Also, Dr. Brooke Goldner has like a protocol for this. I am not doing her exact one, but very inspired by what she does and shares, and she's amazing. So go check that out. Listen to me first, but then go check that out. And these veggies here, we are going to turn into crumbed veggies. I would have loved to have some onion and garlic here, but I haven't been having a lot of them. So we're doing just veggies. And I was looking last night at the low histamine. I haven't done any spice either. I've kept this very neutral to heal my mast cell activation. So I healed myself up working, Pilates, running, swimming in the ocean, but I was getting and perfect blood work. I do inject vitamin B12, and since I've had a hysterectomy, I do have a hormone replacement. But besides that, I've got my perfect blood health. Oh, I had one iron infusion. I used to, including on a meat paleo diet, have to have 3 to 4 iron infusions a year since losing my stomach. The doctors actually are most shocked that I actually healed my anemia. That's their biggest, like, how did you do that? Because you're missing the part of your stomach which actually absorbs iron. But I did it. So my blood work is perfect, but I was reacting to things. Nothing like I used to, still working and Pilates and all of that, but I was getting rashes, I was getting irritated, and when it really flared up, they do state that a lot of psychiatric issues are actually just histamines in the brain, which is an inflammatory response. And it was like my brain was being attacked, like scratched. It was crazy. So this has lowered all of that. And the idea, and following what Dr. Brooke Goldner says, is you actually completely heal doing this. Whereas I feel like when I was doing the raw foods before, I was avoiding a lot of problems. And what she's saying essentially is true, because last Friday I had fermented foods. And this week I've had juice. Couldn't have those before. So thank you. What's my favorite way to stay fit? That's a great question. So doing whatever you love. So it's changed for me over time. When I first got up, something about, I think, trauma is when you first get up, you hear a lot of people do this, is dance. So the only things I could really recall well were little dance routines I did as a child after what I'd been through. So I used to dance and I'd move, and getting outside and walking. That was when I first got well. And then I got into swimming, which really helped. You'll find people with high allergies and a lot of problems, actually. My dad, he's 6'7", he got a slip disc. They wanted to do a surgery when I was growing up. Like, my dad never took time off work, but then his back would go out and he literally couldn't get out of bed. He was like that for years. He was a runner. Shouldn't run at 6'7", but anyway. He then started swimming every day, and he would only be well and have no pain if he swam. I didn't have back pain, but I was just called to the ocean. So I then went through his stage of swimming. But anyone with back issues, it might help you. So yeah, the ocean. Then I went back to dancing. If you followed my journey, I went back to dancing, where I was dancing 3 times a week, driving into the city to dance. I loved it. But what I didn't like as much as when I healed is there's something very healing about free moving to music, which has emotion, and you're full of emotion. And I really don't cry much. So it was like an emotional release doing my own dancing. But each of these I have been in love with. And then I moved on to doing Pilates, which I love, and running. And now I do more walking and Pilates. I noticed over time is any high exertion is still a stress response on the body where you become inflamed. They call it high cortisol. And I started to get this like belly, and I started to put on weight around here. And I do think I needed to adjust my hormones as well, because whenever I don't take hormone replacement, I seem to exercise excessively, as if I try and replace all hormones with, I can't think what it's called right now, but it's basically cortisol. Yeah, high cortisol. I'm just trying to run my body off that. It's like not aldosterone. It's it backs onto testosterone, which you do from cortisol. That's why your body changes shape. But what I navigate my life by, which I didn't until I healed myself, is what feels good. Even if somebody drives into me black and blue, do this, do this, do this, is if I do it, even if I get some results, if I'm miserable, not connected to it, it's not for me. There's something about being in alignment with what feels good and you heal. Like they're just the same thing. So love whatever movement you do. And whether that's just, I work with people, I'm a health coach, who just walk around the kitchen. That's all they can do. But own it. Because took me 1.5 years to run. I walked every day about anywhere from 4.5 to 7 kilometers straight out of bed for 1 year, because I was determined to run. And I eventually ran, but I didn't get to running without doing the walking every day. That's another thing, is show up for yourself every single day, no matter what your goal is. Chip away those little bits, walk into the kitchen, and the dancing for me when I healed myself came because I was stuck in bed, but I could sometimes get my feet on the wall and remember little routines, and I would move my feet, and that was enough. Like each thing is a step in the right direction if it feels good. And you want something bigger from it as well, which seems like common sense, but I was always, most of my life, like, this expert says it, this professor says it, this is another journal article, this is a new report. And then essentially at rock bottom, I healed myself just by the things that felt good. So, what part of Aussie are you in? So I am in Sydney. And I love it. I'm by the beach. I was just in Cairns, which is a lot warmer. It is our winter at the moment, but I've come back. This is a good thing. Go away. We only have really winter for 2.5 months, and it's really like you wake up, it's like 10 to 12 degrees, maybe a little bit lower, maybe it's like 8, and then it just goes up to like 16, 15, 16 during the day, and now it's already back up to probably 17. 18 for me is a beach day. So, and that's only for a couple of months, but I've skipped that by going up to Cairns, which is more tropical, which is north. And I was having, if you go back to some of my lives, I was having jackfruit, black sapote, dragon fruit, which I actually couldn't eat a lot of before, and I didn't have a lot of. I had some, and then I went back to my higher omega-3 diet. I actually looked in my shopping trolley the other day, and everything was green. It was, this is green, so cauliflower looked green, Brussels sprouts are green. I have a matcha in the morning, I had celery. And I think what tended to happen is when I first got well, all the raw foods looked bright and were like attracting me, like they do in nature. Strawberries and bell peppers and all these bright colors were attracting me, right? And all of a sudden, when you get high cortisol, the lights change. Or high cortisol is a stress hormone, which is going to be released when the body is stressed and you're releasing a lot of histamines. And all of a sudden, I did notice this, but ignored it, is all of the bright colors felt like warnings. And it makes sense, as I said, the histamines and the high cortisol, and I kept pushing. And every time I ate these like warning signs, and that's why people have to listen to their bodies, is I had reactions. When I eat what I call very like, soft, neutral foods, that's how these feel to me, I don't have any reaction. And when I add the chia and flaxseed, which are high omega-3 plant foods that are raw, I seem to not react. And it's really interesting how One person, as I said, even myself, when I first went raw, saw all the bright foods as an attraction. And then as my body went into chaos or stress mode, it was too much. And in fact, when I healed myself, I ate a lot of just carrots, celery, cucumbers, a few berries. Berries are great for me. And they're more of like a subtle neutral, not like an alarm color, which I believe suits people who aren't in a stressed body. And going back to how I healed, you hear a lot of people can't do fruit juice. I knew Jeff, who juices, had to start with greens for weeks until he could get onto fruit. And everyone says fruit will heal. Fruit did not do that for me, but I am missing my stomach. Fruit does, but I can't just have it. I need like balance. But it's interesting that my perception of things changes. Time to realize that showing loose skin is not hot. You need to be honest with yourself when looking in the mirror. I don't know whether I have loose skin. I've got a scar from my stomach being removed, but I haven't actually got loose skin yet. I actually don't even have a very wrinkled face because I'm so hydrated. But sometimes when people say these things, they actually mean it for themselves. But I don't know. I'm looking a bit dehydrated there. But yeah, I've got a scar, but I don't have loose skin. I've never been overweight. How can I have loose skin? I was 37 kilograms at 5'7". So maybe do your research. Yes, so I found losing weight impossible after 40. Okay, without hormone replacement, I could not stop putting weight on around my middle. Could not. No matter what I did, I was having celery juice with apple. Still could not stop. My whole body, it was like my body forgot the food's supposed to come out my butt, and it was just dumping it on my stomach. I have been on hormone replacement, which I have had a full hysterectomy for 7 months now. I was on it for 10 years. I let go of every single medication when I healed. But 7 months I've been on this and my whole physique changed. But when I say put on weight around my middle, so I'm 5'7". The highest I've ever been in my life is 64.5 kilograms, which it was that just a couple months back. And I'm like, this is too, I just did not feel good, especially around here, especially how much I exercise. But by any means, it's like skinny fat, right? You're skinny, but there's weight. But still, I was only in Australia. I'm still a size 10, which is a model size. So I'm not over here like stating that that's a problem. Now I'd be like about an 8. So I've only gone down a dress size, but I would have lost about 7 or 8 kilograms, which is getting up to about 15 pounds. But estrogen stops you eating all the time as well. So when you take away that hormone, when I'm not on hormones, I constantly think about food or exercise. But once again, I am missing not only my ovaries, uterus, but also my cervix. Like they've taken it all out. So thank you. Hope you're having a good day. I love positivity here. If you want to be positive, come, stay, share. Okay, have you ever tried ashwagandha? That's very good for lowering cortisol. I have. It's mentioned often as well to help. It helps people with hormones. Having mast cell activation syndrome, anything dried starts to get histidines, which is a precursor for histamines, which are released in the gut, which I don't have. I'm getting very scientific here. And then the DAO, which I don't have, is the diamine oxidase, which breaks these histamines down. Okay, these histamines are what activate the mast cells and cause joint pain, nerve pain, inflammation, and what I suffered from. So, in saying that, anything dried, I've had to really eradicate again, because that's why I went so well with raw foods. Anything cooked that's left down on the counter, the bacteria, it just changes, and this is what creates histamines. Now, because this histamine isn't just limited to me, everyone's getting these histamines. It's just some people can break them down better or tolerate them better, and this comes down to the microbiome. But ashwagandha, I'm not exactly sure. Is it a mushroom? I've got some. I bought some, but nothing. I can never get this stuff in. What have I got? I've even got Dr. Moore's herbs here. They nearly killed me. I've got some L-glutamine, which is supposed to help with gut. It's an amino acid. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Ah, here. I got some, but I just get set off. So I find I have my liver and body can tolerate my hormone replacement and some magnesium at night, and that's like pushing it. That's like really pushing it. So it's an adaptogen and tonic. I tried ashwagandha root powder. I've tried that one, but it's not. If I can get it fresh, so it's like herbs. Is dried herbs I can react to. Fresh, give them to me till the cows come home. It is those histamines, and I always crack these open. These veggie caps bother me. But I also get in probiotics, but even those I sometimes skip, but they don't seem to be so bad. I use the Corona ones, which are really, really good. I'll show you because I know you'll ask. So these have both the probiotics and enzymes. Remember, I'm missing my stomach. So having, they would have protease, lactase, all the amino enzymes, which in the stomach break down. Well, everyone has to know that enzymes don't do anything, but they are a catalyst in a, what is it called? In anything that takes place in a chemical reaction. They're a catalyst in a chemical reaction. So any enzyme enters in like a little key and helps it speed up and the process runs smoothly. But it doesn't actually add itself in to any chemical reaction whatsoever. But these enzymes activate the body breaking down certain foods, and we need that broken down so that the body can absorb it in the small intestine, which I'm missing part of. Then it moves down to the larger bowel, which is mostly electrolytes and hydration. But this brand, he's a raw vegan, 50 years, he cured himself of cancer, all sorts of things. Amazing man, Lou Corona. But I don't go into, there's a whole package, I don't go into all of that. I just take the basics. Okay, understand that high intensity workouts can put stress on the body. I don't like that aspect, but the problem is that those are the only types of workouts that I actually enjoy. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, I'll read this out again because I struggle here as well with sleep after doing the things that give me a lot of joy. I understand that high intensity workouts can put stress on the body. I don't like that aspect, but the problem is that those are the only types of workouts that I actually enjoy. Me too. Like, especially like running, or I was doing like high intensity dancing. I also, my ADHD brain gets bored walking. I would rather just half an hour do the run instead of an hour. Plus then at night after I've done a run, it's like ADHD brain it's when I run, it's like the only time that my thoughts catch up with like the environment. Everything's like on par. Like, it's a meditation. I've heard people say it is a meditation. And then at night, oh my God, the days I've run and then jumped in the cold ocean and I've eaten raw food all day, I'm like laying there just buzzing. But then I don't sleep properly. I tend to get into this cycle of waking up at 3 a.m., which is high cortisol. Because cortisol is supposed to rise with the sun in the morning in our bodies, and then we wake up and live through the day, and then at night it's supposed to drop. And this is why we shouldn't do exercise in high intensity at night. No, it's not an option for everyone because people work and they have to do it after work, but we don't want cortisol like peaking at night at 3 in the morning when there's no sun. We want the body in sync. So I don't actually have an answer. I think through a lot of things at what I've done to like help myself do them. But I have noticed that, and especially as you get older, the hit the body takes seems to be more intense. And before I know it, I've got a swollen belly, I'm overeating, I'm not sleeping, and it seems to definitely be hormone related. And then I start avoiding walking because I just don't enjoy it as much. Pilates is good. I do like reformer Pilates. So you've got a machine and you're moving it and you're still intense, but I need things that keep my brain engaged. I am not married. I found quitting alcohol completely helped most of my weight loss and health. Yes, it would. I don't think people actually realize how much alcohol really affects them. So apparently it takes 2 weeks to get over just one drink of alcohol. And so I was thinking, I was very sick, right? But like when I was younger, is, you know, you drink on a weekend and then you drink. I don't think I've ever actually been like that. No, I was an alcoholic. But most people are having drinks, like maybe one or two during the week. And then, this is in Australia, people I know. And then on the weekend, they're drinking. And so people don't actually realize what it's like to actually not have a brain kind of stressed and in chaos. And it's hard. Can I say I had a big flare up recently as a lot of my memory came back, as a lot of my addictions resurfaced, especially being away with my family, and alcohol being one of them. And it's so triggering because you're sitting at a table and people are drinking around you, and their lunch drinking around you, and you know, holiday vibes. It's just, you know, there's bars everywhere, and but it's definitely so there's new carcinogenic warnings getting put on alcohol as well. It's up there with smoking now, and you can't, it's not even one drink. Hang on, I think in Canada now they're saying that if you have over the health, some board of health is saying that, and I don't know how it works in Canada, that if you have more than two drinks a week, you literally, it's like really, which it is essentially. So I don't know. Good for you. Congratulations, Sam, on quitting alcohol. It's not easy. It's not easy. Fruit is nature's candy. Yes, it is, Darren. It definitely is. It especially when you have like a clean palate and you're eating like this and you have some fruit, it's literally like eating candy. And then afterwards you feel hydrated and amazing and vitaminized. I just made that up, vitaminalized. Okay. Does she respond? Yes, I will respond to messages about fitness. I wish that I could go to sleep and never wake up. So I feel like a lot of people think that. I actually saw somebody say that a lot of people go into anesthetic and they say they wish they would never wake up. But I feel like if we actually, first off, before, there's periods in my life I don't know how I hung on, because I like literally lost my mind. I was dissociated. All I do is relive things. Plus feel like I've been, the chronic pain, I was never suicidal or depressed, but then it all caught up. I was always trying to like get through it. Plus it started when I was young. So I have been there. And to come out of it is, I am grateful. There are times where I think people, you have to just hang on and believe. And believe even when you don't believe is believe. Because I do believe the body can self-navigate and correct if we listen to it. And I feel for mental health, if you even try eating a high raw food diet, get yourself up there for a few weeks. And I'm not saying stay there, just experience clarity, no self-negative talk. No, I actually never knew until raw foods that you don't have to always be so putting yourself down. It's like you just want to be outside and you feel fresh. And I'm not saying tomorrow just start doing it. I feel like people should build up to it, but I feel like you should in this lifetime experience what raw foods, fresh fruits and juices and smoothies, and not a lot of the dehydrated stuff, which I'm about to do, which is slightly dehydrated, but fresh foods, and see that you don't actually have to feel the way you do. I feel like they've put me on every psych med under the sun. I've been on stimulants, SSRIs, like the Epilums, they were injecting me. I've been on Valium. I've been on, what is it called? That horrible stuff which makes me hallucinate. All sorts of stuff, my point being. And different types in those families of drugs. And nothing, they like keep you afloat, right? Nothing is like this. This is like why I stay raw. It's like one of those things where I don't think if there was a diet that healed me, I could do it if I felt like crap and felt like I was missing out. But this, yeah. So, do I shave my armpits? Yes, I do. What do I eat for protein? Okay, so eating higher omega-3s and chia and veggies, you're actually probably getting, so a woman of my size, an average woman only needs approximately, I think it's between 46 and 52 grams of protein a day. I'm quite small, so but I am tall, and I do exercise. So I'll probably need about that. Let's say around 50. If you're eating enough, you will get that with veggies and nuts and seeds. I have been through periods, and I'll show you guys, where I was training a lot, and it's actually when I broke my toe, and I hadn't known that I'd broken my toe. Where's the other one? There, maybe. I craved protein. I have a lot of sprouted lentils. Lentils are as high as, if not higher, I think, than meat per gram. I just soak them or I sprout them. I went through a stage, I don't crave them. I go with what my body craves. I was craving protein and my liver wasn't doing well with fats. And I was having, this is a good brand because it's literally got no sugar. It's just peanut butter, peanuts defatted and ground up. You can call it a protein powder, but when I've looked at protein powders, what's in it, it's a lot of things which are not just, it's just, if you mix it with, I think people mix it with like blended apples or apple sauce, and they get like a low fat peanut butter. And this is not that peanuts are bad or peanut butter is bad. It's just my body wanted the peanut butter with more protein. And that, as I said, was when I'd broken my toe and did not know. So it shows amino acids can be really helpful in healing. Hemp seed and lentils, I'm pretty sure, have all the essential amino acids that you need. So if you know proteins, essentially you eat them and then the body has to use energy to then break those proteins down into amino acids and then build these blocks into the actual proteins that each human needs. It actually makes more sense to eat amino acids that are free amino acids and then let the body just combine. But yeah, so that, I went through a big stage of that. I haven't craved it anymore, but I do believe it's because there is more amino acids in veggies. Back then I was still doing more fruits and juices and the seeds as well. But I think also when you're healing, you need to think sometimes the body is willing to sacrifice. I'm not saying I'm not getting enough amino acids, because my body would crave lentils like no tomorrow if I was all these, and it's not. I know my body's doing really well with these high omega-3s, which come in the form of ALAs, and they're broken down to, I think, DEA and EPAs in the body, and they're really great for brain health, anti-inflammatory. Every pathway in the body which uses omegas, especially the cells of the body, does better when it's using omega-3 versus omega-6 or having both in balance, which it's not when you're eating a lot of meat or high omega-6 seeds. You need to stay away from lectins. I just don't think that I think there's things, if we dissect foods enough, every single food will have something problematic in it. And it's just the hype or the buzz of what's going on at that time as to what will be at the forefront of someone's brain. I just think keep everything cycling. I think there are lectins in these. I'm not exactly sure. But as I said, the body's willing to put up with a little bit of poison to get a whole lot of goodness. And I think that's essentially what every food is. Every food that goes in the human body creates an acidic and an inflammatory response. That's why the body heats up and gets rid of it. It will pull things from it, but the whole job is to get it out. And we have to be aware of that's what the body's doing. The body is willing to do that to give us nutrients. And it's adapted over time to have this amazing microbiome, which is working with it, to give you all the nutrients, even more nutrients. People have evolved to do better with better microbiomes, survival of the fittest. But be aware that the whole body's job is to get rid of what you've put in. It's not to hold on to it and just sit a pile of crap or something inside of you. I don't even know what I was saying there. It's a root. Yes, you're right. Sorry. Beyond all the questions here, ashwagandha is a root. Nice. Lipo work. You mean liposuction? I mean, I was 37 kilograms. I've only just got up to this size. I'm actually quite small. So I don't know whether I guess small people still get lipo. I haven't had any. Tried it once, it gave me diarrhea. That's your body saying it was either too much or don't use it. some supplements do more harm than good. I agree. I think everything in the most natural form. I did no supplements, no salt. I did just fruits, everything fresh for 2 years. I felt amazing, but I did get deficient in things. And then I ended up with the low sodium and the high blood sugars. And I just find my body now wants more balance with where it is. Oh, congratulations, Southern Vegan Eats. I'm on day 24 of eating fully raw. Congratulations. The best thing you can ever gift yourself, ever, I believe, is doing this diet, this lifestyle. So enjoy it. Ready for raw. What do you eat? You look so healthy. I try to eat raw. Okay, so please know what I'm eating right now is in the description. There's a folder, mast cell activation folder. So I am eating I'll go through what I eat. Usually I wake up and I will have a green juice of celery, mostly celery and cucumber, sweetened with a little bit of apple. I go off my taste buds because if something tastes really sweet, I need to add water or more celery. My body is having a huge blood sugar response, which it does not like. I get histamine issues from that. So I keep it mostly celery and cucumber and vary the green apple, sometimes ginger. I have a matcha tea, which I made last week on the live. This is from just Woolworths, the shopping centre. It's just matcha. I use some freshly made almond milk or hemp milk. That's got a date in it. I make a big batch. I just use that. And then at about 11, I will start eating. And usually it's been a lot of these type of cruciferous vegetables with ground chia and flaxseed and a bit of salt. I got rid of everything else because of my mast cell activation syndrome at the moment. I've noticed my gut health is just amazing. My stomach is like flat as a tack. And on the raw diet, you can go back and look in photos. I've always had like, not massive, but this belly. And then I'll eat a bowl as much as I want of cruciferous, ground and flax. Mind you, I've had juice in the morning, so I'm hydrated. And then I'll have some fruit, and that usually is blueberries or raspberries. I could eat any berry, but they're my favorites, or green apple, but usually berries. If I have green grapes, which are sour in Australia, I'll still have them with berries, so not heaps of blood sugar things going on. I did notice when I was in Queensland, I had some dragon fruit. That's not too bad because it's not very sweet. Jackfruit was sweet, but I didn't have too much. So mostly berries. And then I'll have usually another bowl like this, mushrooms and chia and flax, as much chia and flax as I can get in. Occasionally, like today, I use the flaxseed oil, cold press, but I don't feel as great with oil. Oil is like when my body's like sky, for some reason your gut isn't absorbing today, it's not getting enough. You have to put it into a more uncomfortable position, not the worst position, but to get your omegas in, and my body will tell me. That's kind of it. I might have some more juice during the day or juice in the afternoon, maybe coconut water. I did a lot of lives where I'm having lots of coconut water because the key, and I did a reel on this yesterday, that I have found is to eat these veggies. My hair is just there's so much of it since doing these veggies and seeds and not as much fruit. When I did with my fruit era, I lost a lot of hair. I grew my hair, but I still was really thin. So I forgot what I was going to say now. So that helps with that. Okay, yes. So this reel. So veggies is and low sweet fruits is like the eating component, and then the chia and flaxseed. And I'm doing it all fresh. A lot of people who follow Dr. Brooke Goldner, I think they do the smoothies, which don't agree with me, and recipes, I guess sometimes, but I can't do, and I've let go of I might use some of them today to flavor it, but this is a one-off. Once a week, my body is tolerating that. And I do want to push my body, but to heal, it's just the seeds on top of this. So we've got veggies, low sweet fruits, and these seeds, and hydration. And for me, I don't hydrate very well with just water. I do much better with green juice or coconut water. They're the things that seem to be something that I do really, really well with. The matcha is just, I enjoy it, and I'm not having a lot of sweet fruit. So I like the sustained concentration. I have like an ADHD brain. I was diagnosed with it and took stimulant medication for years. This is the only thing which seems to give me some excess focus, but it's like sustained all day. I don't have to keep going back. I don't think about it until the next morning when I possibly have another one, but that's not part of this. I was doing this with nutritional yeast and like onion powder, but I think for me to truly heal, I need to be just a little bit of sea salt is all I have on it. I do salt to taste. So that's what I'm doing. But if you look over my page, that's not what I've always done. Is I've done different variations of a raw food diet, but I do believe a key component to feeling good is hydration, and a key component to mast cell activation for me is omega-3s. And magnesium at night as well. It seems to lower cortisol, help with my gut, help with sleep, but I don't take any other supplements, and I'd love to not be taking it, but my body seems to do better with it. So I hope that helps with the food angle. I am about to make some crumbed veggies. Looks like you lost a lot of weight at one point in your life. Yes, so at one point in my life, I was so sick I couldn't put on weight. I'd been sick at that stage for like 15 years. Everyone thought I was going to die. I was only 37 kilograms. I had been literally, all I did was, I couldn't even get to the bathroom. Having a shower was like my whole body. It was just, I don't know how I survived that. That was back in 2017, 2016, and that's when I dissociated, and I got really well very, very quickly because I didn't really recall trauma. But yeah, I definitely am doing much better now. So yeah, I don't have protein powder. As I said, as my body just chugs. It doesn't do so well with anything processed, but I will sometimes do this, but still, even then, I prefer veggies and lentils. So, oh, there's always some weirdo viewers on here, trust me. I think I've heard more strange things in these chats than I have anywhere else in a long time. Are you going raw? Oh my God, I've heard this. Sky News, Sky Channel. I've heard I remember one of my guy friends when I used to turn up, used to list off. He goes, it's Sky News, Sky. They just went on. There's a lot of Sky, or I get called Skypey. Skype, yeah. I don't know what that means. Any advice for keeping yourself regular? There is no one answer for gut health. I feel like this year I've worked harder on getting this flat stomach than I have in a long time on the raw food diet. And that has been for me is sometimes in the morning, it's a lot of hydration. And for me, it's predominantly celery juice, cucumber juice, a bit of apple, coconut water until everything comes through. Okay, I don't want food going in if I haven't got an empty gut. That's something I've learned. I don't eat all day anymore, and that's difficult when you don't have a stomach, but I've learned to do that because my gut, I think as you age, it's not so much, and even I think when you're underweight, as to shoveling food in is going to fix any problem. I watch my nieces who are growing. They're younger and they're growing and they barely eat, and they're going all day, never stop. And I did a podcast once about this, and kids just don't eat. They're outside running around, their shoes are off, they're jumping in the water or the swimming pool, and then they're making up, TikToks with their friends. They don't stop. We don't do half of that, and then we think, especially on a holiday, that we're going out for pancakes for breakfast, a big chocolate coffee, and then maybe an ice cream, and then a late lunch, which turned into this dinner. We make a hobby of food. So I don't actually think shoveling food in. I did when I got on this. Everyone's like, you've got to get these 2,000, 3,000 calories in. If you're only having carbohydrates, you're going to be speeding up your metabolism, and that probably is something you need to do. But if you're eating balance, I promise you, if you've got your system working well, you do not need to put copious amounts of food in. Even when I healed myself and I was very skinny, I was 45 kilos when I started this diet. I put on 12 kilos in 1 year, and I was not shoveling. I was eating when I needed. I was eating more. I was craving a lot of dates, avocados, and bananas, which helped, but I still was not. If I had this gut that came out here, I got so distressed. And then when I got on fruits, you feel so good. I just didn't care that I had this gut until it turned into like SIBO. It wasn't good. So anyway, so we're getting up and we're having a lot of hydration, and then we're eating, like I eat from 11 till the sooner I finish the better, but sometimes that's not till 4 or 5. But I would love it to be 3 or 4. And during that time, I'm very free, but don't stuff myself. I then might have some coconut water at night, or some more celery juice, but I prefer coconut water at night. I may have a small bowl of fruit if I want after that time, but I can't eat all of this. Then at night, magnesium. Now, when I work with people, that magnesium can change. I use a brand in Australia called Fusion at Magnesium Advance, which has a whole lot of, I bring this up all the time. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. It's just that I've tried other magnesiums and I don't get the same effect. And I know people in the US have looked up this brand and had a look at what magnesiums they have in it. This has a higher level of the sleepy magnesium. So it's got magnesium, glycinate, magnesium citrate, magnesium amino acid chelate, magnesium aspartate tetrahydrate. So it's got a lot. When I first started, I was taking about 6 of these at night. That's how much my bowel, I thought, had been moving. But if your stomach's out here, you've got stuff in you. I've done juicing. This is off the back of juicing. I always think the juicing caused like a concrete thing going on. But anyway, I was having 6 of these for a few nights. I'm not recommending, I'm just saying what I did. And then as this all healed, I do anywhere from about 1, 2, or 3. I've never gone back up to that unless I'm like backed up and I need to. So magnesium at night is really amazing for me. And then when I wake up in the morning, I have a bowel movement, but I also then, I won't, if I didn't, I will have enough juice until it comes out. I don't eat until I'm empty. I feel so miserable. Did I get this one out? Okay, this, I don't know whether it helped. I do know it helps some people. I think it might help a bit. So this has got probiotics and enzymes in it. What I notice about this is when I take this, is my bowel movement is digested. So when it comes out, there's no food scraps that you can see in it. There's no bits of food. It's done its job. That is what helps with that. But maybe a little bit with movement, but what helps with movement for me is this. Also, people who struggle to get this, if you want to do this diet, who struggle to get the seeds down, find that having oil, this is not cooked, fresh oil over their food to get the omega-3s in gives a laxative effect. But essentially, it's like, as you can hear, it's a whole package. You can't, if you take one of those things out, and they don't work instantly, you have to keep working at your gut health. I feel like gut health and hormone health, you have to have those in balance to even fix anything. And you may think you're doing something to fix a disease by doing like a food or a carnivore or a plant-based or whatever people do, right? But essentially that has to fix those things before it actually fixes your whatever's going on. You can't have like a massive gut and fix an autoimmune disease. Half the problem is that you've had leaky gut and that it's got to a point which is really bad, which essentially is nobody's fault. It's the way society is set up. But truly the greatest you can feel is when your gut just works. And I'm missing my stomach, duodenum, and top of intestines, which essentially means for me, when I eat the food is not being broken down into chyme or vomit. So when it moves to the next section, which is the small intestine, the duodenum, that it starts to absorb nutrients. So the small intestine is the nutrient absorber, and I'm missing a chunk of that. So it makes sense that raw foods really helps. So in that sense, the biggest problem for me is going to be SIBO and SIFO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which isn't as simple as overgrowth in the gut. It is that the bacteria is in the wrong spot on the gut wall. So they're all sitting there waiting, and bacteria has gotten to the wrong spot because bits have been stuck here. So some's moved up, and then when it moves down, you've got the wrong part in the wrong section. So it's not assimilating and you're not getting what you need from the food. And SIFO is small intestinal fungal overgrowth, which I think more people have than they realize from the candida. But yeah, I have a gut health group. So if you get that folder, you will be able to join the group, or I think in the description, the group is there. Hopefully I put it there. Where are all the normal people? I don't know. They're not on my lives very often. But then there's lots of you that are. I just filter through. And then I have beautiful Tessa here who's moderating for me. I don't do dairy except butter. I don't get the flu. Yeah, okay, so someone who doesn't get the flu, I was literally eating those things and near death. I lived in surgeries, 60 surgeries, 7 major organs removed, mast cell activation syndrome, tachycardia, mental health hospitals. I have none of that. But when I go to hotels, the only thing that seems to happen is I get a flu. That's it. So for me, that's like not even, it's kind of like dust under the carpet. So when I turned 60, I could tell my digestion slowed down a lot. Gone are the days of eating too much. I feel in my gut the next day and it doesn't feel good. Yeah, it's like, I think everyone hits that stage where it's like your body's going through a lot of work to just break things down. But let's make these, and as I said, I wish I had garlic and onion. Let's make these crumbed veggies for anyone who wants to try these. I did want to get, this has fallen down here. All right. These, every Friday, I grab whatever I've got left over in my fridge and we make something. As I've said, it's been all sorts of things. You can go back, have a look. There's been raw tofu, raw chia puddings. There's been raw loaf. I've made all sorts of things. I have a dehydrator. So I'm going to make these a little crispy in there, but I have been eating very simply because I'm healing my mast cell activation. Let me get a big bowl. Which I think the raw food diet avoided but didn't directly stop. But perfect blood work, no diagnosis, just rashes, irritations, and joint pain was coming up for me. Okay, so I'm just going to chop these up here. What is your take on creatine? So I don't actually know much about creatine. What I do know is a lot of women who want to build muscle and have great muscle recovery use creatine, which essentially sounds like by teen, it's an amino acid. And why I've never been drawn to it is I've heard a lot of women say they want this, they bulk up from it. I have a tendency to have like more of like that androgynous, like I don't have massive curves. I'm more straight up and down, and I am someone who bulks. You know, if you give someone like me testosterone, my body will ignore everything else and just swing straight into that. So that's why I've never been drawn to it. Also, I'm not very good with supplements. So we will. This is purple cabbage, one of my favorites. And then I've got Brussels sprouts. You know, I would never eat Brussels sprouts cooked, and raw, I'm obsessed. They're really high in iron as well. And I've kept my iron up. So maybe. There was one time my iron got really low from doing fruit, and I had the shingles. I think that's why I got the shingles. And all I would order off Uber Eats from the shopping center was watermelon. There's a joke, we have this joke that this poor guy would bring me watermelon and Brussels sprouts, and he probably thought, what the frick sort of order is this? I don't know what he thought, but I do love Brussels sprouts. But I think at the time my point was watermelon's one of the highest fruits in iron. And I think my body knew what it was craving back then. But yeah, that's the only time my iron got low on this lifestyle. Whereas before, eating meat and all that, my iron every 3 months, could never get it up. So we got I prefer broccolini here. Broccoli just gives me the ick because I just think I couldn't digest it. And then I see broccolini, I'm like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. But that's me. These are my favorite veggies. And when I eat this way, I feel so satisfied. A lot of people say in a raw food diet, they're like always hungry. When you eat salt, seed, and veggie, oh my God, no, no, no. I'm really satisfied. I just don't think about food. And I find the omega-3s really help with my concentration and anxiety. I feel like a lot less anxious. I've interviewed some raw vegan tattoo artists who have like 5 tablespoons of flaxseed oil in their morning smoothie. And they reckon they focus, like hyper focus on their tattoo skills after having that. So we have got just like veggies in here going on there. I don't know whether these mushrooms look too good, hey? Maybe just a couple. We are at the end of the week. Tomorrow I go to the farmer's market. I might hop on and show you what I get. I do want to do a new video where of everything I do in a day, so you guys can see exactly what I do, because I think that works best. Like not just what I eat, but what time. And okay, we've got a couple of mushrooms. And my favorite is cauliflower. I love cauliflower. Oh my God. I couldn't live in a world without cauliflower. So I might get a little more adventurous this week, but I have thought of doing this for a while. And as I said, having onion and garlic in there would be like on another level, but I don't have any, and I can't use dried because apparently it's not good for mast cell activation. Apparently dried herbs, most dried herbs shouldn't be too bad, but I seem to still react. So we'll see what we do here. See what I'm called to do. Okay. So we've just got a big bowl of veggies here. Now, before I grind up seeds, I am going to just drizzle this in oil, a good coating of oil, because the crumbing is going to stick to the oil. So, okay. That's flaxseed oil, by the way, which I'm really used to the taste, but I know some people, you know, you can do it how you like. I'm not telling you what to do, but we're getting all omega-3s in to heal ourselves. Okay. Oh, shiny from the oil. Okay. I actually just did a live women's health podcast where we interviewed a lady who slept on the earth, and she did hunting. Like, she got her own fish and meat, and the first baby she had when she was eating meat and bread and grains, and she slept on the earth. She had the baby with no help but her husband, and she was in a lot of pain. The next baby, halfway through, she started eating a raw food diet, got rid of the meat, the grains, cooked foods. The baby was born in the amniotic sac, just like an animal, and no pain. The next child, literally the same thing happened. The baby came out in the amniotic sac. There was like no warning. It's like, she describes it like, she calls it, it's called an ecstatic birth, where it's like a cross between a laugh, an orgasm, and an ejection. And that only happened sleeping on the earth like animals, eating a raw food diet. And yeah, if you are pregnant or you want to know more about hormone health, have a look at that, because I think that's incredible. Amazing what the body can do. All right, we are going to make the crumbs right now. And I am using, see, we're at the end of this week, plus I've been traveling. So I don't have, usually I'd have, these are white chia seeds, and I usually have yellow or golden flax, but I haven't been to the shops yet. That was from just Woolworths. I am going to probably use, using a tablespoon is a good measure. 8 tablespoons is half a cup, and I don't like to grind more than half a cup at a time. So, but unfortunately these will be a bit dark. I wanted them to be light, so you might just do 3 3 of these. And these are lighter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is just a coffee grinder from Kmart in Australia. Okay, as I said, if you could put onion, put your favorite veggies in there. So we are now going to use this crumbing to, well, crumb the vegetables. So just sprinkle and stir. Sprinkle. Now I'm just going to stop for a minute. And they should stick really well because of the oil. I actually want to put some other things in here. Now I've let go of nutritional yeast, and which essentially isn't high histamine, and neither is things like turmeric. Do I have nutritional yeast? Yes, I do. But with Marcel, you can react to anything. But I'm going to add some extra flavor today, just because I would like to test my body and check that it's doing well. So this will make it yellow as well. And just some salt. You can put onion powder, garlic powder if you want, but they are high histamine, so I'm staying away from that. Where's salt? Here. You could put some, what are they called? Herbs in as well, but I don't know, I feel like this is a good calling. Can you guys see that? It just looks crumbed. There is a little more here. So I think half a cup of seeds is like 600 and something calories. I don't know the exact. But the idea is I'm putting this on a tray and it should go crispy in the dehydrator. It just tastes good. Lined dehydrator tray. And it's just crumbed. I could actually do 2 trays. I love Brussels sprouts. It's so good. So those will go into the dehydrator. I don't know how long yet. I usually jump on and do another live, but we'll see. If you follow me on Instagram, I am raw.skye, ROAR.SKYE. I do post on my story how long that will be, but I don't want it to go dry. I just want crispy, crunchy. How do I use a lady? I don't know what that means, but I will do 2 of them, 2 trays, or I might just eat those as they are. But that's a lot of veggies. So you could probably do half of that. It's probably like half, you could probably do half a pound and 1/4 of a cup of seeds. Drizzle as much olive oil. Do any flavors you want. Oh, this is really good. I'm getting distracted now. So that's it. I actually have a new washer dryer being delivered today. So that will come up soon. But I hope you guys have a great Friday or Thursday. And I'm sure I'll be jumping back on a live. I haven't been on live for a week because I was sick. So a bunch of To a party. I don't know what that means. But anyway, okay, bye guys.